What's up everyone, welcome back to LaceUp channel. Today we're gonna talk about how your distribution company is losing millions of dollars. Let's get right into it. So you're probably asking yourself, how the hell am I losing millions of dollars? I can tell you right now, it has nothing to do with the expensive system I wanna sell you. No, I'm just kidding. Look, the truth of the matter is most of my customers are losing money on their processes. And this goes as a good segue into the first thing costing you millions, which is load optimization. When looking at my data, most of my customers loading out their trucks are cubing out the trucks to only 60%. That means that 40% of their trucks are leaving empty on a daily basis. So assuming that you had a total truckload that was going to cube out at 90% that day, right? For all the deliveries. You're now sending 2 trucks out to do the job of 1 truck, which is doubling up the cost of your deliveries. So what does this mean? This means that you have to set up a load optimization strategy. Now I've seen customers that do this completely on paper with absolutely no system, and what they do is they first cube out their pallets for every single order going on a truck, and then they cube that to 90% of the truck's total capacity. Now by doing this, you're taking maximum advantage of your trucks cubed and sending out less trucks with more empty space, thus costing you a significant amount of money. Think about the cost to have 1 truck on the road. Now imagine if you were to optimize for that if you had 10 trucks. Now you're probably talking about 2 or 3 trucks less every single day. Now the second thing costing you millions of dollars is how you've optimized your pick path, or better said, your lack of optimization. So if you look at how your pickers are zigging and zagging their way through the warehouse, a lot of the customers that I work with have their pickers pick path end at the end of the warehouse. The picker then has to turn all the way around and walk to the front of the warehouse in order to drop the product for checking and loading. Now, my more savvy distributors, what they do is they end their pick path at the front of the warehouse. This means that you don't have the picker walking across a bunch of slots without picking anything heading towards the front of the warehouse. Now, the data says that the average picker walks around 12 miles per day. When you optimize and make sure that the picker through their pick path always ends at the front of the warehouse, you're gonna cut that to around 7 miles. Now this goes in conjunction with making sure that your warehouse has pass-throughs after your picker has passed all of the high velocity items, because the last thing you want them to do is to have to walk all the way down to the end of the aisle to turn around. At the end of the day, by adding pass-throughs and making sure that the pickers don't end at the end of the warehouse, you are increasing or decreasing the amount of steps they take in the warehouse by 30%. A simple hack like this is going to save you a lot of money in the warehouse. So we just talked about pick path optimization. To be honest with you, pick path optimization is nothing without point number 3, which is velocity-based slotting. When studying the slotting of most distributors, you'll note that most of their A products are scattered throughout the warehouse because they haven't done a simple analysis of plotting all of their items on a spreadsheet and identifying the 20% of their items that generate 80% of their volume. Now, when you slot by volume, you put items that sell the most close together. Because you're a distributor, this means that you're able to walk less around the warehouse by mostly picking all of your orders down 1 or 2 aisles. Now, 1 or 2 aisles is arbitrary. It obviously scales to the level of your business, but you get the point. If you were able to finish your pick path in 20% of your warehouse to 30% of your warehouse every single time, and only go to the slow movers only when absolutely necessary, it's gonna speed up the amount of picking that you can do by 30 to 40%. When looking at the data, when you slot by velocity, you're going to pick 30 to 40% more cases an hour. This means if you've got 10 pickers at $18 an hour working 40 hours a week, that amounts to about $375,000 in payroll. If you get that down 30%, you're gonna save just $150,000 a year in picking optimization. So by slotting correctly, by focusing on optimizing the pick path, you've compounded the productivity by which your pickers can pick cases. Now, as you grow, you've dropped your cost by 30%, which is significant. Problem number 4, hidden labor data. Now, when you look at a payroll, you see how many hours you paid a picker to work, regular pay, you see how many overtime hours you pay, and during busy seasons, we're paying all of these pickers extra overtime. But when you take a step back, imagine you were a fly on the wall and you could actually look at these pickers. You'll see that these pickers are wasting 1 to 2 hours every single day of unaccounted time. This is time where they're not cleaning the warehouse, not in the restroom, not in meetings, not at break, not at lunch, not picking, not doing any other task in the warehouse. Instead, they're just burning time. And this is a big problem because when you try to compute a case per hour metric on the linear hours that you pay a picker in the warehouse, the value that you're getting returned is a lot lower than it should be. So let's say, for instance, you compute your case an hour metric, assuming that they worked all 45 hours and it comes out to 96 cases an hour. Well, if you smooth out for those 2 hours wasted per day, that's all of a sudden gonna jump to around 120 cases an hour. So your case per hour metric is actually 120. And now all you have to do is solve for that 1 or 2 hours of day of unproductive time. Now, I'm not saying you're gonna get these people to work all 8, 9, 10 hours straight, but I am saying you could minimize the wasted time by 1 to 2 hours, thus yielding an increase to your output of 12 to 20%. And if you can increase that output by 12 or 20%, this means you need 12 to 20% less labor as you scale your business and grow, which is significant to your EBITDA. Please pay attention to your hidden labor data and minimize the wasted time by your warehouse workers. Problem number 5, lack of an incentive structure. I've seen a lot of distributors that not only don't offer an incentive to their warehouse workers, but they don't offer any incentive to their drivers. This means that the person picking the most cases in the warehouse at the highest accuracy gets paid exactly the same as the rest of the workers. And also, the delivery drivers that deliver the most amount of stops per day because they're just more efficient are getting paid the same as the rest of the delivery drivers. Now, how do you fix this? Well, I like to always offer my customers the option to offer their workers an incentive. When you have the data in your warehouse specifically of cases an hour and case accuracy or pick accuracy, you're able to print a scorecard every single day, post it on the wall, and let the pickers see how they're performing. Now, when you attach this to an incentive, let's say you give the picker $100 to $200 extra per week by being the top picker or by being above the threshold. By doing this, this increases productivity by about 22% and decreases your attrition or your turnover by 35%. And ultimately, this trickles down from your best worker to your worst worker. And what you'll find, if you have 10 pickers, for example, all of the 9 bottom pickers, right? Those that aren't as good as the top person will revert more towards the mean of the top picker. Now, not all 10 will get the incentive, but everybody will be trying as hard as possible to hit the numbers. Same thing goes with your drivers. Why aren't the drivers that do more stops successfully getting paid more, right? There should be an incentive per driver. And if you can get all of your drivers to hit that incentive, again, your company just became more productive overnight. So bottom line, add an incentive. This will decrease churn, increase productivity, and make everybody in the operation feel much better about going to work. So the bottom line is, I'm not asking you to spend a bunch of money on systems or hire 15 more people. I'm just asking you to implement a few simple processes which you can tweak right now. And any single one of these processes will yield a significant return for your business. I would say if you've got none of these in place, you're probably looking at 30% more efficiency across your entire employee base, which is significant, especially if you're working 20, 30, 40, 50 employees. Every single day you go to work to optimize these processes and put these things in place is a day that you're going to improve the business significantly with no additional cost. So that's it. If you've got these things in place right now, comment down below. If you don't, please get to work on it right away. Besides that, I look forward to seeing your comments. Also, like the video, subscribe, all that YouTube stuff, and I look forward to seeing you next video. Take care. Peace.